When P&O Australia asked us to produce another show for them, the idea of the 7 Deadly Sins was thrown into the ring really early on in the piece. We realised we already had 7 sections already set out for us, just with the idea of the 7 Deadly Sins, you know, each sin being a section of the show.
After we'd done a little bit of research, what we discovered was that the themes of the 7 Deadly Sins actually have particular colour codes that go with them. So we basically then sat down and with those colour codes then worked out the themes of each particular sin that we were going to produce.
Kate Wormold's come on board as choreographer. She's a wonderful Australian choreographer.
This is my first show with the guys and my first time doing a ship, which is very exciting and very unique in itself.
What she brought to rehearsals and her wonderful talent and how she worked with the cast and how she shaped each scene, it's just been absolutely remarkable.
Our musical director Philip Philo came on board and has produced the most amazing soundtrack for us.
My history working with Grayboy told me that it was going to be elevated to a new level. So I was kind of excited about what each different section would bring, and it felt like we were about to get really, really creative.
Nigel Shaw, our costume designer, has come on board again to help us produce some fantastic and wonderful costumes that will just blow your mind.
I thought this would be a really interesting show, be totally different to what we've done before. We could do like the 7 sins, each as its own individual vignette. We could really make the costumes amazing for each one. It tells its own story. Lighting is key. Lighting is so important. It's as important as any other element. Gavin Swift has come on board as lighting designer again for us, and Gavin is just such a remarkable lighting designer. He's working all over Australia and around the world. He's come through and given us more than what we wanted. Visually, this show is such a feast, and it's all thanks to him.
Greed is the colour of golds. Being the opening scene of the show, we wanted it to be powerful, we wanted it to rock, we wanted it to really hit the audience smack bang.
We ended up in Egypt. It has a really great feel. From a design perspective, we're sitting inside an Egyptian temple. We're sitting at the throne of a wonderful, powerful Egyptian goddess as she sort of rules over her minions. She's in her own glammed up version of armour, but still with elements of traditional Egyptian, or what people perceived as the Egyptian costume to have been back in its day.
And it's very strong, it's very sexy. We had an incredible track. I mean, all the music that Philip has done is just incredible and really inspiring to me when I first listened to it.
I wanted the whole thing to sound dramatic, fast moving, but also I wanted the whole thing to feel a little hot. I wanted the audience to feel heat just by listening to the music.
The next sin is envy. It's emerald greens. What we decided to do here was we thought that we would do just a full bright dance number with the cast. I
absolutely adore Sid Charisse, and we've definitely paid homage to Sid Charisse and Gene Kelly from Singing in the Rain.
The first song that Phil chose for this particular sin was You Don't Own Me.
The great remake by Grace.
Followed by X's and O's.
The two songs work really, really well together because they're both about powerful women.
She's certainly the envy of all the girls in the room. They want to be her.
So I wanted her to be very leggy. It's much more revealing. It allows the boys to then manhandle and move her without things moving or slipping or sliding. The boys are in much more of a modern waistcoat with a gangster feel from the old era. So we ended up setting this whole number in a nightclub, in a sort of deep emerald green nightclub. And it's very much inspired by, you know, that era of Hollywood film. Lust is dark blue, it's really deep navy. I kept thinking about the idea of a sailor and a siren or a mermaid, and it had a sort of a dark romance to it. I started having a look at images online just to be inspired, and I found this amazing image of a beautiful woman in a dress, but the dress was the ocean. How can we do this? We need to be able to do this on stage. So they wanted this big dress that would cover a whole stage.
Scott mentioned this huge dress, and I think until I saw it and realised what we could do with it and how we could work it, did I really sort of get where he was going with it.
Scott actually suggested this beautiful remake of the song Wicked Game, and he had this whole visual already mapped out in his head.
Talking to Nigel about the dress and how we make that dress work and make it look like the ocean, how we could sort of marry that dress with the screen design so it looked like the dress became the screen. And then talking to Gavin Swift about how to light this so we really just fool the audience into thinking they're looking at a real ocean. It's such an amazing visual moment in this show, and I think the audiences will take their breath away. Rage. Rage is a really sort of hot red in the show.
The colour itself, red, is powerful. It hits you straight away.
And we thought about what's going on in the world, the injustice that we see worldwide. Michael Jackson's They Don't Care About Us just seemed like such a fitting anthem for what a lot of people are talking about at the moment.
Wouldn't it be good if it was actually more futuristic based? So it's like, oh, okay, that's a good way. And then straight away I had in my head, I can do a mixed version of between, say, Star Wars meets Hunger Games.
What Kate did with the choreography was above and beyond.
Seeing the costumes and the masks and the incredible screens that are at the back, it's really a really strong number. They are definitely working so hard in this number. It's military, it's robotic.
And again, it's just one of those moments that's very powerful, it's very striking, and it's very different. Gluttony is orange. It's a crazy colour.
Gluttony, I think, is going to be the audience favourite.
Gluttony to me is the sunshine of the show.
I think the audience will bubble over.
It is the funnest section in the show.
The more we thought about orange, we thought about sunsets, and then from sunsets we thought about pool parties.
The brief was it was going to be this Hollywood glam like pool party, so set outside. There will be, you know, a lovely big tall Lifesavers Outlook Post chair. There will be cabanas. There will be deck chairs.
And instead of it being about food and devouring food, it can be about wanting things.
More about being the material possessions.
Being that type of person that has everything or wants everything.
So there's a real sort of Bob Fosse, Sweet Charity, Rich Man's Frug style in there.
Use that music as a starting off point to completely reimagine what Material Girl is, so it could fit in with our theme for the section.
The whole backdrop is a real sort of bright orange cartoon. The whole thing is bright, it's loud, it's fun, and it's one of those scenes that I think the audience will smile the whole way through.
The next sin is sloth, which is a light blue. Sloth itself was one of those sins that was quite hard to actually work out what we were going to do.
And we always had the visual in our head that it would be the male singer with a lone female dancer.
So we've gone really contemporary and lyrical with the choreography. A beautiful song which I'd never heard before.
And Amanda Talbot from Grayboy Entertainment suggested a song called Doing Nothing.
It's about being lazy, but it's about kicking back with somebody you love and spending the day doing nothing. And it was just a really positive and beautiful and slightly romantic approach to, you know, such a sin like laziness.
So there's just the two people on stage. It's just the male singer and one of the dancers. It's just about this moment between him and her.
Once again, a beautiful creative and a really special moment to have the white dress beautifully lit by Gavin, and it's just another moment to show how different each piece is and take you on a really beautiful ride throughout the show.
Our final sin is pride, which is the colour purple.
When we thought about the colour purple, we thought about royalty straight away.
What we wanted to do is we wanted to make it a little bit more fantasy.
The royal characters they're all taking on, and it's very modern choreography-wise, like it's very commercial jazz.
I very early came across a Demi Lovato track called Confident, and it just seemed to be the perfect fit for what this show was. The running order of the show as well, because it comes later, and we wanted something really powerful and strong that was going to get the audience really moving in their seats.
So I took a lot of inspiration for this one based on Game of Thrones and King Richard. Even though it's quite black, it's really detailed. There is silver trims and silver braids and black velvets, black cottons, there's printed fabrics, there's feathers, there's furs.
There's wonderful stonework, there's a massive big stained glass window. You know, we've got this fantastic throne, we've got fire burners on stage, we've got a really long purple carpet that sort of rolls out halfway through the number. It's a really great, fantastic piece. colours played such a massive role in the show, what we wanted to do with the finale was bring all those colours out and make the finale one big explosion of colour.
So for me, I thought, okay, wouldn't it be good if underneath the costume somewhere we reveal like a banner, if you will, would drop, and each person has their own colour.
The finale is definitely party time. You know, they take the audience on such a fantastic ride from start to finish, and we see so many different styles musically, choreographically, visually, with such pops of colour. And for me, the finale takes all of that together and just says, this is it, you know, it's celebration time, and we certainly leave the audience here on a really big high.
With the finale, we chose the song It's a Sin by the Pet Shop Boys. So this last version has, again, pounding guitars, heavy drums, great vocals, and yeah, it just brings the show back to where we started.
It's been a joy working on the show, it really has, not just with the creatives that we've had a chance to work with who are just all so remarkable, but the idea and the concept of the show itself has been just a really fun, fantastic idea to play with.
I really do love the concept, the ideas, the styling, the colouring, the staging ideas.
Nigel with the costumes, Scott with the beautiful screens, Kate with her input on the styling and the direction and the staging of this show. So the experience of putting this show together really has been a true joy.
I know that from the very first moment that we sat down and worked out the theme that we were going to approach, there's been a lot of highs and lows, but a lot of fun times in there.
I couldn't be prouder to be a part of it. The team there are not only incredible human beings and have welcomed me with open arms, but they're just so talented, and I really think this show is something that they should all be very proud of.
I think the audience from start to finish are going to be on a fabulous ride with this show.
The choreography is outstanding. From a visual perspective, the show looks remarkable. I think the audiences will love it.